By the time the crocodile surfaced with a chunk of HOA president in its mouth, the neighborhood Facebook group had already lit up with posts about unauthorized flotation devices. There was Lorraine Pritchard, queen of the Willow Crest HOA, screaming in the middle of my private lake at 6:07 a.m., one leg thrashing, the other conspicuously absent. The inflatable flamingo she'd insisted on patrolling the shoreline from was half deflated and slowly spinning like a tragic, pink rotisserie. "Why didn't you tell me there were crocodiles?" she shrieked at me, as if I were customer service for nature. I was standing on my own dock in a bathrobe, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, already on with 911 and trying not to say, "Lorraine, this isn't even your lake." Behind me, neighbors were gathering in pajamas, mouths covered, phones out, recording. Lorraine's HOA badge floated past like some kind of fallen police shield. And as the sirens finally started wailing in the distance, one thought settled calmly in my head. This all started because I refused to repaint my mailbox-approved eggshell. My name is Gavin Holt, and all I wanted was a quiet life at the edge of a small private lake in Willow Crest, a suburb so aggressively beige it should come with a Pantone number. I'm an IT consultant. I work from home. My hobbies: fishing, reading, not talking to people. When I bought the lakefront property, the selling point was clear. The lake was part of my deed. Maintenance: my responsibility. Access: my choice. Then I met Lorraine Pritchard, the HOA president. Imagine a woman who's collected every passive-aggressive email she's ever sent and bound them into a personal Bible. She greeted me with a clipboard and a smile sharp enough to open packages. "Welcome to Willow Crest. We have standards here," she said. "Oh, and the HOA has been informally managing this lake for years." "Yeah," I replied, "about that. The lake's actually on my deed, so." Her smile twitched. "Well, we'll just see about that." 3 days later, I got my first violation notice. Unauthorized mailbox color. Non-regulation lawn chairs. Suspicious activity near the waterline. That last one was me, fishing, on my own dock. Lorraine didn't see a homeowner. She saw a challenge to her tiny paper kingdom. The violations multiplied faster than her Facebook posts. First, it was letters. Urgent. You are in violation of Section 3.2, Decorative Objects. Apparently, my small wooden rowboat counted as a decorative object and was visual clutter. Then came the photos. Lorraine began emailing time-stamped pictures of me on the dock. Subject line: ongoing non-compliance. Body: a grainy shot of me drinking a beer by the water. I started noticing her more and more, in her SUV, idling by my house at odd hours. Walking her dog 6 times a day, always pausing to stare at my shoreline. Taking pictures of my unapproved bird feeder. The final straw was when I caught her on my property, in rubber boots, hammering a sign into my shoreline that read, "HOA rules apply. No swimming, no fishing, no watercraft." "Lorraine, that's trespassing," I said, filming her. "It's common area, Gavin," she snapped. "The residents voted. Residents can't vote away my deed." Her eyes narrowed. "We'll see what the county thinks." Within a week she filed a fake complaint about my environmental hazard lake. Claimed I was harboring aggressive wildlife. Told neighbors I was planning to fence the water and charge access fees. When that didn't work, she escalated to the sacred HOA nuclear option, the emergency board meeting. About my lake. That they didn't own. The turning point wasn't the meeting. It was Lorraine's mistake afterward. At the HOA gathering, held in the clubhouse that smelled like old coffee and fresh judgment, she unveiled her lake reclamation initiative. She'd printed a massive map of the neighborhood with my property outlined in red. "The lake has always been a shared amenity," she declared. "We will petition to have it designated a community feature." Effective immediately, the HOA will schedule patrol swims, safety inspections, and water quality checks. "Patrol swims?" I asked. "Like lifeguards?" She beamed. "Like me. I've already submitted documentation to the county." She shouldn't have said that. Because I had the documentation from the county, where I'd already filed a preemptive inquiry. The response was crystal clear. The lake was private property. The HOA had no authority over it. Any posted HOA rules at the lake would be considered fraudulent. Also, the county had added a note that made my lawyer very happy. Any unauthorized individuals using the lake under color of HOA authority could be liable for trespassing and misrepresentation. So when Lorraine sent a community-wide email declaring the lake HOA controlled and dumped a PDF of made-up water use regulations, my lawyer forwarded it straight to the county attorney and, for fun, to the HOA's insurance company. Then, because karma enjoys theatrics, Lorraine scheduled her first official safety patrol swim, personally. At dawn. In my lake. The exact same week Wildlife Control had sent out notices about displaced crocodiles migrating through local waterways. A notice she had, of course, discarded as irrelevant. The morning of the incident, I was on the dock with coffee, as usual. I saw Lorraine marching down the path in a neon swim cap, HOA polo, and a laminated badge that said Lake Safety Coordinator. "Lorraine," I called, "you are not allowed on this property." She waved a clipboard. As per Section 9.1, all shared assets are subject to HOA. County says otherwise, I said, holding up my own printed letter. And my attorney agrees. She didn't even look. You can't gatekeep water, Gavin. It's basically socialism. That's not what. But she was already stepping around the private property. No unauthorized access sign I'd had professionally installed. I recorded. Slowly. Calmly. While she dragged an inflatable flamingo down to the shoreline, tossed it in, and flopped onto it with the grace of a disgruntled walrus. "Patrol in progress," she shouted back at me. When she kicked off toward the middle, I noticed the water go still. Too still. The bite came a few minutes later. Her screams split the air. The flamingo lurched. Water churned. I saw the flash of a thick tail, then bloodless white where her leg should have been. I called 911 immediately and threw the nearest life ring. The paramedics arrived. Then the sheriff's office. Then, because fate was apparently all in, a county official showed up too, having received the forwarded HOA emails and documents. As they loaded Lorraine into the ambulance, the official turned to me. "Mr. Holt, we'll need statements, and we'll need to talk to the HOA about their unauthorized management of this waterway." For the first time since I'd moved in, I wasn't the one under scrutiny. The fallout was not subtle. First came the insurance company. Apparently, when your HOA president has declared control over private property, encouraged residents to use it under false authority, and personally staged a safety patrol in wildlife-infested water, your liability carrier becomes extremely interested. They sent a letter, then a representative, to the next HOA meeting. This time, I went. The rep stood at the front of the room, flanked by the county official and a very stiff-looking HOA attorney. Lorraine attended via video call from what looked like a rehab facility, her hospital gown mostly covered by a cardigan and an expression of pure, simmering rage. "Miss Pritchard," the insurance rep said, "these documents show you created fictitious regulations and claimed control over property that does not belong to the HOA. You then placed yourself and others in foreseeable danger." Lorraine sniffed. "I was ensuring community safety." The county official adjusted his glasses. "By ignoring our wildlife advisory and trespassing." Then my lawyer stood up. "And by harassing my client with bogus violations to coerce him into relinquishing control of his deeded property. We have months of documentation." The room buzzed. Neighbors who'd been quietly resentful suddenly found their courage. "Oh yeah, she wrote me up for having a lavender plant," one muttered. "She tried to ban bird baths," another said. "She measured my Halloween skeleton with a tape measure," a third added with outrage in her voice. The vote to remove Lorraine as HOA president was not close. The insurance rep delivered the final blow. "As of now, your HOA policy is under review. Any increased premiums or uncovered liabilities will be considered the responsibility of the board members who acted outside their authority." All eyes swiveled to Lorraine's little video square. Then the county official spoke up. "Miss Pritchard, based on the evidence we've collected, you're facing potential charges for criminal trespass, filing false reports with the county, and misrepresentation of authority. The county attorney will be in contact with you and your legal counsel. Additionally, Mr. Holt has grounds for a civil lawsuit for harassment and property rights violations. My lawyer added, we're seeking damages in the amount of $50,000 for emotional distress, legal fees, and property devaluation due to Ms. Pritchard's campaign of harassment. We also have documentation of over 40 fraudulent violation notices. Lorraine's face went white on the screen. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. That's ridiculous, she finally sputtered. I was doing my job. I was protecting the community. The insurance representative cut her off. Miss Pritchard, you may also be personally liable for any claims against the HOA that exceed our coverage limits. Our preliminary assessment suggests you acted outside the scope of your authority in every instance. You're looking at personal liability potentially exceeding $100,000. For the first time since I'd met her, Lorraine Pritchard had absolutely nothing to say. Her video square went black as she disconnected from the call. The room sat in stunned silence.